The Ghost's Second Chance. Why I Remarried in Another Country. After being buried in my village. A story of love, destiny, and restored honor, a mother's last hope in the quiet village of Kumasi, where traditions run deep and the dead rest in sacred silence. My name was spoken only in hushed whispers. He was mourned, buried, and my mother's wails had echoed through the hills as they lowered me beneath the baobab tree, where generations before, me had been laid to rest. I was my mother's only child, her miracle. She had me late in life. After years of unanswered prayers, my father, Kwame Ofori, had died when I was just 6 months old, leaving her to raise me alone. But she never let me feel the absence. She poured all her love into me, sacrificing everything so I could have a future beyond the dusty roads of our village. When I won a scholarship to study abroad, she had danced barefoot in the village square, tears of joy staining her face. But fate had other plans. Sudden illness struck me down, far from home, far from my mother's embrace. I died, the village mourned, but no grief was greater than my mother, Adwoa Ofori. She had only ever prayed for one thing, to never be alone. And so, as my soul hovered between life and death, I begged. I pleaded with the ancestors, with the gods, with anything that could hear me. I could not leave her like this. She had given me life once. I needed a second chance to give her something in return. Don't know who listened. Don't know what power answered. But when I opened my eyes, I was not in the land of the dead, was alive, somewhere else. A borrowed life, the air, smelled different. The voices around me spoke a language I barely understood. My hands, once frail, were now strong. I had been reborn in Lagos, Nigeria. I knew no one. I had no past here, yet the memories of my former life never left me. In this new world, I rebuilt. I found love. Her name was Amara Okafor, a woman whose heart was as kind as her spirit was fierce. We built a life together. We had 3 beautiful children, Chiamaka, Ifunanya, and Obi, who filled our home with laughter and purpose. For years, I lived as though I had never died. As though Kumasi, my mother, and my past were only a dream until the day Kofi Asante knocked on my door. A glimpse of the past. Kofi had been my closest friend. We had grown up together, shared meals, fought battles, and dreamed of the future. When I saw him standing at my doorstep, I knew immediately that it was over. His eyes widened in horror. His voice trembled. Kojo? My name, the name of a man who had died. I gasped, and then I vanished. A love caught between 2 worlds. When I reappeared, Amara was terrified. Her hands trembled as she held our children close. She had always known something was strange about me. The way I never spoke of a past. The way my eyes sometimes drifted as if haunted by things unseen. Now she had seen it for herself. I was not meant to be here. She begged me to explain, but how could I? How could I tell her that I had already lived, already died, and was only here because I had made a desperate plea to the spirits? But the truth had been uncovered. Kofi could not forget what he saw. Determined to understand, he sought out my wife. He took Amara to Kumasi. A mother's joy, a son's peace. When Adwoa Ofori saw Amara standing before her, holding the hands of 3 grandchildren she had never known existed, she wept. For years she had felt the weight of my lingering spirit. She had known that I was not truly at rest. But now she was no longer alone. She had a family. She had grandchildren. Her prayers had been answered. She ran her hands over their faces, kissing their foreheads, laughing through her tears. Kofi explained everything. The elders understood. I had fulfilled my promise. And so my wife, the woman who had loved me in my second life, gave me the honor I had been denied. She reburied me. This time not as a lost soul, but as a man who had lived, who had loved, and who had given his mother peace. Finally at rest, the night my body was laid to rest once more, I stood beneath the great baobab tree one last time. The wind whispered through the branches, carrying the voices of my ancestors. You have done well. She is no longer alone. Rest now, Kojo. I turned, looking at the life I had left behind. Amara, strong and beautiful, standing beside my mother. Kofi, watching over them. My children laughing, their voices a melody carried on the wind. I smiled. And for the first time I let go. As the sun set over Kumasi, Kojo Ofori finally crossed over, his soul at peace. knowing he had kept his promise, the end.
Moral lessons: grief can be healed with love. Kojo's mother never stopped grieving, but when she met her grandchildren, her sorrow turned into joy. Lesson: love can heal even the deepest wounds. When we lose someone, their presence can still live on through others. Final takeaway: life is precious, and the bonds we create with family and loved ones shape our journey. Love, honor, and legacy are what truly matter, because even when we are gone, the love we leave behind never fades. Thanks for watching. Support by subscribing, like, share, and comment for more.